Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another We Can workshop. It's so great to have you with us here today. My name is Carrie Ramsey, and I am the project manager for the We Can project, which is led by Queen's University. And this is an exciting day because we have Aileen who's returning. She has been a presenter in the past and has actually been a business coach in the past for the We Can project. But today, of course, she's returning to speak about building executive presence for women entrepreneurs. I absolutely love this topic. It's so needed. You're going to get so much out of it. So stay tuned. But as we're getting started, we would love for this to be an opportunity for you to connect with other women who are on the call as well. So why don't you take a moment in the Zoom chat to introduce yourself? Let us know maybe where you're connecting from. If you have a business, go ahead and drop it into the Zoom chat. Let us know if you have even if you have a link or it could be a LinkedIn or a website, go ahead and do that. And while you are taking a moment to introduce yourselves in the Zoom chat, I'll acknowledge that Queen's University is situated on the ancestral territory of the Huron, the Anishinaabe, and the Haudenosaunee peoples. And it is such an honor and a privilege to live, work, and play here on these lands. Just this past weekend, I had an opportunity to be a part of a panel at a women's business event at St. Lawrence College. And on that panel of amazing women was Dr. Shira Barberstock, who some of you may know ran our Indigenous Women's Program. And every time Shira speaks, I listen because there's something I can learn from her philosophies and principles of how she operates in business. And one of the things she mentioned on that panel, which stuck with me, was the fact that she always loves to speak from the heart, not just from her head. So she tends not to prepare notes ahead of time, which for me as an over preparer, that's just something so foreign to me. But I've actually started practicing this idea of speaking from my heart, not just from my head. I think I always will have to speak a little bit from my head, of course. But I thought that was just such a great, and she tied that back to Indigenous teachings and where that comes from. So I want to honor Dr. Barberstock today for just teaching me that. And I like to take a page from her book anytime I meet her. So thank you so much for those of you who are connecting in the Zoom chat. Welcome wherever here on Turtle Island you may be connecting from. So at this time, I would love to hand the virtual microphone to a great friend and an incredible businesswoman, Aileen Edwards, who some of you may have met already. Aileen, of course, is a leadership coach and HR executive. She's here to speak to us today about building executive presence for women entrepreneurs. Aileen, take it away. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone, and welcome. I am actually thrilled to have you here today as we delve into empowering journey of building executive presence for women entrepreneurs. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to focus on three pivotal concepts: commanding the room, leading with power, and rising with purpose. These are not just buzzwords, they're actionable principles that can transform how you engage and influence in any setting. As women entrepreneurs, our voice matters immensely in shaping the business landscape. We're part of the business landscape. And this session is about harnessing that voice and refining the skills that help you make an impactful presence. As Carrie mentioned, I'm Aileen Edwards, and it's my privilege to guide you through this transformational session. With my background in leadership and in HR, I understand the unique challenges and opportunities we face. Let's embark on this journey together and unlock the power within us to lead with confidence and purpose. Thanks again for joining me today. Let's get started. So, a little bit more about me. I bring 30 years of human resources leadership, and I have a profound understanding of the dynamics that shape effective leadership. And as a former chief human resources officer, my strategic insights in advancing organizational performance, my unique expertise in executive coaching and leadership development is complemented by my dedication to fostering diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. And this blend makes an invaluable guide to our journey today. Throughout my career, I have built collaborative and inclusive cultures, demonstrating the authenticity and executive presence qualities we aim to cultivate in ourselves. So today, I use those lived experiences, my lived experiences, to help women, especially women of color, leaders and entrepreneurs, help them elevate their executive presence, influence, navigate high stakes conversations, and just be present in the moment when they're dealing with situations. Here's a little bit about what we're going to chat about today. We're going to embark on this journey to enhance your executive presence. The agenda listed here will cover things like understanding what executive presence truly means. It's more than just a concept, it's a powerful tool for leadership and growth. We'll explore why your story matters in developing your executive presence. Yes, your story matters. I have worked a lot of time on my story and I'll be able to share it today with you and hope that you'll be able to share with some of us as we get into it later on. We will address the barriers we carry, and believe me, there we carry barriers and how they impact us. It's really, really important to recognize these before we're able to move forward effectively. And we'll identify the pillars of executive presence, and I'll also provide you with some tools to build and strengthen yours. Then we'll have some practice time. I'm looking forward for some participation. I'm hoping that you'll all jump in and be part of this participation because it really helps to strengthen not only your presence, but helps you to help you help other people who are here today. So I'll talk about the learning, the glow and grow method, which is a reflective tool that's really designed to help us identify not only your strengths, but areas for improvement. So this is your opportunity to learn what you've learned in a supportive environment with everybody around. Then we'll wrap up with a final reflection and a call to action, empowering you to take steps forward beyond this session. Okay, let's get started again or continue where we started. So what is executive presence? Executive presence is a powerful concept. It's about projecting confidence, clarity, and credibility, especially when it counts. For us women in business, we need to do that on a regular basis because we need to exude that power to be taken seriously. So let's clear up a couple of misconceptions. Executive presence isn't performative, it's purposeful. It's not merely about appearance or your speech, it's about the impact you have on others and the unwavering confidence in your true self. For women entrepreneurs, executive presence means leading with a blend of power and empathy. It's about owning your own space, your own voice, and your story. This presence inspires trust and commands respect, and all while remaining true to who you are. Authenticity is really, really important. You need to empower who you are by just living who you are every day in every situation where you show up. So remember, it's not about changing who you are, which we often kind of do to fit into molds. I can't tell you how many times I changed who I was just to be part of, whatever was going on. So it's about owning your space, your voice, your story. Remember, it's not about that. It's about amplifying your authentic self. So let's explore how we can cultivate this presence together. I want you to really think about and reflect as I talk about this slide about your own stories. Leadership presence is deeply rooted in the stories we carry, and each of us has a unique journey that shapes how we lead. So let's consider for a moment, what experience have molded you? Feel free to drop anything into the chat as we go through this next little while to talk about what works for you. I want you to think about the moments that may have silenced your voice. What did those experiences look like for you? For me, as I mentioned, it looked like just playing the game to get along. My voice was silenced in a lot of rooms by others. And it felt wrong. And I sort of played into that. You know, when you're the only in the room, so when you're the only woman executive on a senior team, when you're the only person on female entrepreneur in a room full of men, it's easy to get your voice silenced by others. So it's important to make sure that your voice, your story, it really matters. You know, it's more importantly, what aspects of yourself are you ready to reclaim? That's one of the questions I want to ask you to think about. What aspects of yourself are you ready to reclaim today? It took me a long time to reclaim my voice. It was a period of growth, and it was a period of, letting go of some of the barriers that we'll cover in my next slide. It takes a little bit of work, but honestly, it's super important. I am really excited that I'm able to share my story confidently, authentically, and it's made a difference. Your story is powerful, and you deserve to take up the space and share your truth. I've learned that over the years, that sharing my story with others and the feedback that I've received has made an impact in their lives. And that's why I continue to share my lived experiences, because it's touched people, it's resonated with people, because some of people might be in that space right now. And I wish I had the coach. I had a coach when I was navigating through those waters to help me share my voice and help me share my story. So that's why I'm doing this work right now, is helping women build that executive presence, lead with authenticity, draw on your lived experiences. It's really, really important to remember that your story matters. And I want you to think about this as we go through today, but also as you leave here today. I want you to start thinking about your story. What is your story? What does it mean to you? How authentic does it feel? So, my story is, I'm Aileen Edwards. I'm an executive leadership coach. I bring 30 years of experience, of human resources experience to the table. I've navigated those waters. I've led teams. I have led, $1 million budgets. And I am now using all of those experiences of being the only in the room to help others to recognize that they too can be the executive they want to be when they show up. So you want to make sure that now that you've got your guide, it's going to help inspire you. And I want you to connect with others today in the chat. And I want you to connect with others in your world outside of here. Let's touch on some of the personal barriers that hold us back. We carry it every day. So, by recognizing that many of us experience imposter syndrome, that nagging feeling of being the imposter in your own success. I had imposter syndrome for many years. I still have it. It pops up every once in a while, and I really need to work on how do I, move it along so I can get on with my day. I remember having imposter syndrome when I became a director of HR. I kept telling myself someone was going to realize or figure out that I didn't belong here, that I was a fraud, and deep down, I knew I wasn't. And I know you weren't, but it's the stories we tell ourselves. But I had done the hard work. I had deserved that promotion. And, but that imposter syndrome was telling me something different. And I remember when I first got that position, I, when people would ask me, what do you do? What do you do for a living? I would often respond as, I'm in HR. I'm in HR. I never felt comfortable until a little bit later to say that I'm a director of HR. I needed to own that. And, it wasn't until my husband said, why do you do that? Why don't you tell people what your position is? That it dawned on me. Because he reminded me that I worked hard to get there, that I deserved be they there. So why couldn't I shout it to the rooftops? So you need to shout to the rooftops that you've earned your space where you are right now, and to ensure that you show up with that. Let go of that imposter syndrome. Hey, easier said than done, let me tell you. I had imposter syndrome when Carrie asked me to do this, but I got over it really quickly, right? It shows up all the time, and it's okay to show up. Or it's okay for it to show up just as long as you recognize it and that it doesn't bind you so that you're not able to move forward. So it's important to make sure that you do that. So I still have them. I learned how to get past them. Even in my business now, I tell myself, I don't have what it takes to be an entrepreneur, to be the CEO of my business. When I was going through corporate, CEOs were like the big thing, and I didn't deserve to be a CEO. And I remember when I got to the senior team, all I aspired for to my whole career was to become a manager. And then I became a director. And then I wanted more and I became a chief human resources officer, a VP. And I thought, wow, I want to be like one of them. That was one of the things that I wanted to do. And then I got there. Oh, before that, because I thought those people were smarter than me and they had better this and better that. And then when I got there, I was a little disappointed. They weren't better than me. They weren't smarter than me. So titles don't give us any more of that, you know, what people think. It's important that you get rid of that imposter syndrome and that you just move through that. Focus on the positive, right? Like how many leaders have I coached? I've been successful in coaching those individuals. I'm sure that you all have too. I'm sure the people that you meet every day, you make an impact on. Your story matters. And when you tell your story, especially if they're filled with lived experiences and you're authentic and you're true, that really matters to somebody else. So focus on the positive and shoo away that imposter syndrome. Next, perfection. Being a perfectionist. That can be paralyzing, because it often makes us feel that nothing we ever do is enough. So we do it a little bit better, we try a little bit harder, we do it over and over again. It's kind of like my posts. I think they need to be, bang on and perfect before I end up posting it. So the imposter syndrome says, and then I want to post it and I want to make sure that it doesn't, add, it doesn't have this, and I want to add that, and I change the words. And I use AI to clean it up a little bit, but those are my words, and it's easier for me because they come from here and they come from here. And sometimes you just, the two of them want to battle it out to be perfection. And my heart just wants to tell the story. My head's like, yeah, that's not good enough. So it's important for you to don't spend a lot of time on being perfect. Just be you, right? Like how many times have you done that post or that flyer, or that presentation? I spent a lot of time on this presentation, right? But those barriers are the things that prevent you in many, many ways of moving forward. And you need to make sure that you don't spend too much time trying to perfect things over and over and over. Another common barrier is the fear of being too much or not enough. And this can show up, can affect how we show up and express ourselves. As women, if we are assertive, we're told we're too strong, you know, and if we don't show up enough, we're told that, we're just not given an opportunity. So if we shy away from things, we won't be given that opportunity. We won't be given an opportunity to speak. So it's important that you find that balance. You do need to show up and you do need to speak. You don't need to show that, you know, you have everything figured out, but it's important to just show up. And you're never too much. And if you're not enough or feel like you're not enough, what is it that you can do? So in male dominated spaces, biases and invisibility show up a lot. So they're real challenges. You know, it makes it difficult for you to be seen and heard, especially as women entrepreneurs when we're dealing with male clients. How many of you found that? And I was dealing with I was speaking to an individual client the other day, and her company own her and her husband own a company, and she tells me that they both show up, but most of the people, males in the room, will default to her husband. They speak directly to him. They may not shift their conversation over to her, and they're equal partnerships in this. So think about that bias and that invisibility. They are challenges. How can you overcome them? Well, you can overcome them. I'll share some tools later bit about how you can overcome those barriers, right? And deal with those clients. Now, I want you to take a moment and reflect. What barriers have you internalized that you're ready to now release? Think about that. I'll pause for a little bit. Feel free to share or just make just little journal notes to yourself. Chances are there are other people who are feeling the same thing, and it's okay. So take that moment, think about that. Acknowledging these barriers is the first step to overcoming them. And the journey to build executive presence is involving releasing those weighty barriers and stepping in confidently into your power. Here's another reflection I want you to think about. Where do you shrink? Where do you find yourself shrinking? And why might that be? These are important questions that deserve honest answers. So, like that woman whose husband and they own the company, she may shrink by allowing her husband to speak for her or to speak for the organization and not interfere and not jumping in. That could be how that that individual shrinks. But I want you to think about it. Take a couple minutes. I want you to journal openly about your reflections. You can do that personally. You can share it in the chat because I said this is your private space to explore your thoughts without judgment. So feel free to share with others in the chat if you wish.
As they're doing that, Aileen, I'm not sure if you can see the chat, but lots of people talking about imposter syndrome, perfectionism is very prevalent. I think those are kind of the top two. Um, yeah, this idea of self-imposed barriers, feeling like we have to be formal and polished in business relationships all the time.
Mhm.
So very relatable.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, absolutely. And I'll let you continue to journal, and then I'll get back to that.
I can share a couple if you want, Aileen, that are popping up
Please.
there. Erica's saying she shrinks when it comes to talking about budgets, feels very emotional. She wishes it because she could make it cut and dry, but it's more than that for her. Andrea says when she's in male-dominated spaces, not allowed to be herself, speaking up is frowned upon. Jillian says, oh, it's going too quick here. The question here, what are some good techniques for breaking through the noise when other want to dominate the conversation? I'm not sure if you're going to get to that. And Kimberly is saying, yeah, when there's mix and mingles at conferences, like big, large meetings, it's easy to shrink and almost feel invisible.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, mixing and mingling is a great way to show up and sell your story. So for me, it's a little bit easier because I'm an introvert. I'm an extrovert, so I just want people to know when I'm in the room, right? So it's easy for me. So I show up, I talk to people, I shake hands, It's easier for me, but I recognize it may not be just it may not be as easy for an introvert, right? When you have all this power and it lives in your head, but it's not as easy for you to share that. So, um, one of the techniques I do talk to my introverted clients about is step out of your comfort zone, even if it's just for a little bit, right? If you don't step out of your comfort zone, you're never going to get rid of those toxic stories that you tell yourself. You're just going to get deeper and deeper and deeper into it. And then, you ever left you ever left a mingle early because you felt out of place,
I've hid in the
right?
bathroom. That I'm an introvert, so like I'll hide in the bathroom. Like, oh, when's this going to be over? And
I
now I lead networking events, Aileen, so it's hilarious. But
Right?
yeah,
You
yeah,
overcame some of that.
yeah.
And, I get it. I live with an extreme introvert, my husband. I do all the talking in the conversation. And, it's easier for me, but I also do a lot of listening. At the beginning, when we first got together, I just did a lot of talking, that stage. But now I do a lot of listening and I do a lot of reflection. And I'll talk a little bit about listening because it's really important. It's things that you hear when you actually listen.
What about that
So,
question, Aileen? So someone's
yes,
asked, like, when someone's speaking over you, how do you kind of assert yourself there? Is that something you'll talk about later, or it's a really practical scenario?
yeah, and I can talk about that right now. I tend to listen for a minute, and then I would say, here's what I would like to add to the conversation. So try not to interrupt people because then that just starts a whole business. But I do think it's important for you to say, here's what I think we should talk about. Here's my input in the situation, and really get a moment. And if people are rude about it and interrupt you, what I tend to do is I'm saying, just give me a minute. Let me finish my thought. It's really important for me to finish my thought, right? And do it in a respectful way without, cutting people off and, your whole body language, the way that you show up, your smile, just let people know that you deserve to be in that room and you deserve to be heard as well. So when people are speaking over you, let them continue to speak, but then you can go back and say, so let me just say what I wanted to say originally and just bring them all back. Try not to let your emotions take the better of you. Stay professional, stay, open, and that's how you can deal with it. Now, you'll always get people that overcome you. And what I do is when I talk about crucial conversations, so outside of your big room, I would meet with that person one on one and I'd have a conversation about that interaction and just let that person know, hey, during our conversation this week and I was trying to speak, you just you just spoke over me. So the story I'm telling myself is what you had to say in your mind was more important than what I had to say. And that kind of made me feel, not so good. Help me understand why you continue to talk over me when we're in meetings together.
And I think also, I think that's amazing advice, Aileen. I think also when we are there and we see that happening to another woman, we can also step in on her behalf. And I've done this and say, "Oh, don't think she was quite finished." Right? So we need to
Yes.
speak up for each other and hold
Yes.
space for each other, which, sometimes that person might not be as bold, but then we need to step in. And I've done that. And it shifts the tone. And then it's not one against one. It's like, this is not socially acceptable.
Absolutely. And again, you can do that in a way that's respectful and that you can be heard. Because if you do it in a way that people are not listening to you and don't care what you talk, what you say, it's going to be hard to make that impression. So, yes, as women entrepreneurs, we need to support each other. We need to have each other's back. And that's why I'm happy that people are sharing in the chat, even though I can't see it. So, thank you, Carrie, that you can support one another. Was there
Yeah, and
another question in there that I
no, but
missed?
a couple of people are just talking about this. I love this concept of having a wing woman. Like when you go to these
Yeah,
mix and mingle events as well, that seems to give people some confidence, so that they're not alone. And even if they branch off, yeah, just you know, talking about, yeah, I think it's just more agreeing with what you're saying. So no questions that
Yeah,
I see at this moment. If I've missed a question, folks, do go ahead and put it in the
yeah,
chat, and
please
I
put it
will
back in the chat.
and I'll come back to it. Okay, we'll let you continue.
Perfect. So your awareness is powerful. It's a powerful first step in reclaiming your presence. So some of the things you're talking about in the chat, it all begins with recognizing the moment where you feel small, but also understand why. Is it that person? You think that person in the room is better than you, has a better title? Why is it that you think it's okay for you, or why is it when you recognize moments of feeling small? You know, this is the foundation upon which we will build your confidence and your authenticity. It's really, really important to really think about why. And then if you can think about the why, then you can think about how you can move forward. We can work on how to move forward. So now that we reflected on the barriers that we carry, and there's probably more, those are just the top ones that worked out that I hear a lot when I'm coaching women. So let's explore the foundations of executive presence. There are pillars. And the first pillar is the confidence, how you carry yourself, even in uncertainty. So, confidence isn't just about being sure of every single decision, it's about how you carry yourself, even when you're unsure. So, there are times where I am just not sure, but I don't want the other person to ever know that. So think about how you could project assurance through your posture and your demeanor and even your voice. So there have been many times that I felt confidence, but then when I entered the room, I was the only. I was the only woman. I was the only woman of color. And then my demeanor changed. My voice lowered. Even my posture changed, and I felt it. And so I've learned over the years that this wasn't working well for me. Because when I was in those rooms and I shrank, people just heard the words. They weren't necessarily hearing what was presented, right? Because nobody was watching me. So sometimes people are not paying attention because I didn't command the rooms I was in. Commanding the space is all about executive presence, and we're speaking about today. So it's about how you carry yourself. And I know that when I'm in a room, again, I stand up taller. I look people right in the eye and make sure that my eyes aren't darting. I present myself. That's really important. So that brings me to communication. That's about having the voice. It's clear, it's compelling, and it's authentic. So remember, it's not just about what you say, but how you say it that builds the presence. I spoke to a potential client yesterday seeking my services, just a random individual that called me, and his voice was so low that I could barely hear him. His communication wasn't clear, and it took me some time to find out exactly what he was really seeking in my services. When I finally got through it, I found out that he was seeking help on how to have that executive presence and how he could communicate or how he could improve his communication to project confidence, authenticity, and authority. I felt that within the first couple of minutes having this conversation with this gentleman that, hmm, what's going on? There's a little bit of a shyness. He wasn't projecting his voice. He was very, and then he apologized towards the end of it because as we moved through it and I helped him to lift his voice, um, he started to come around. It's important that you communicate clearly, that you're compelling. So if you're in sales, that your sales speech, your pitch is compelling. If you're in leadership, it's compelling. It's authentic. Make sure that you have that voice. So connection is another thing, another pillar that's really, really great. This is where you build trust through the empathy and influence with clients you're working with. It's really relating genuinely to others to create meaningful relationships. This may come easier for some. As I said, I'm an extrovert, I'm a relationship builder. For me, strangers are just friends I haven't met yet. So I will just go talk to people. And you know what? My husband will say, we'll go for a walk and I'll talk to people on the street and he'll say, "Do you know that person?" I'm like, "No." But they said hi. So I'm like, "Hey." So it's very important to build these connections also in business. Talk to people and talk to the people that you really don't feel comfortable talking to them. You're kind of shying away and they exude some executive presence themselves and you're thinking, "I can't compete." Those are the people you want to be in the circle about because you'll find out that they're not any better than you are. They just may be an extrovert, whereas you may be an introvert. So it's important for you to continue to have that communication, communicate with those people, surround yourself with those individuals, learn from them, watch them. That's what I did. I watched a lot of people. I watched a lot of leaders over the years and saw what they were doing. But I want to make sure that it sort of landed with what I was doing. I wasn't pretending to be somebody else. I was just picking up some key nuggets that sort of helped me have that confidence, help me communicate clearly, and to have that connection with people. So executive presence isn't built. It's built. It's not born. It's a skill we can develop with intention and with practice. And I'll show you how to build some of that with some of the practices. Just stop me anytime, Carrie, if something comes up in the chat.
No, there's lots of good chat happening, and I think it's around this idea we were talking about. You will go up to anybody and talk, and someone had said, "Well, I do that in my personal life, but I haven't thought about doing that in my business life, actually." So that's
Absolutely.
neat.
Absolutely. You want to get out there. You want to meet people, especially in your business. You want to grow your business. You're going to have to talk to a few people, right? That's just the way it is. And yeah, I do a lot of chatting in my personal life, but I also bring that to the table when I meet new people. It's
And I
really,
think
really important.
I think right now we kind of really revert to we rely on online community like whether it's social media and stuff, and we get so like, oh, that's where I do my networking, and but it doesn't hold a candle to those in-person conversations when you're talking
Never.
about trust building, listening, empathy. I mean,
Yeah.
digital's
Yeah.
great, but we're all human beings and we need to connect in these other ways as well. So yeah, I love what you're saying.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I had the opportunity to go to an in-person workshop in Kingston last month, and it felt amazing to be in the room with a whole bunch of leaders, and you could feel the energy in the room, and you could talk to people, and I could walk around the room like I was in my element, right? Being on a Zoom is great, but it's not as exciting as being in a room with people and having a conversation. And, I think people tend to be more participative in a room full of other like-minded individuals
Sure.
than, hiding behind a screen.
Let me
So,
ask you a quick question, Aileen. There's a great point. One of the Victorias, because I know there's multiple Victorias on the call, but one of the Victorias is saying that, using her voice is the hardest part. She's quiet, and this kind of comes from actually some medical issues. So projecting her voice is actually painful to the point where she's considering a vocal coach. I don't know if let's say if one of those superpowers is diminished for that reason, like could she compensate with another part of like you've mentioned the body language, which is so key, but what if you literally your voice, that's sort of a tool that obviously she has a voice, but she's not going to be the
yeah,
loudest in the room. And I don't hear
right.
you saying that you have to be the loudest in the room, but like
You
what's your
don't.
thoughts on that?
You don't have to be the loudest in the room. If you're in a room full of people, I would ask for a microphone. Most often, they have microphones for audiences, and then that can help you project your voice. But if you're with somebody, get close enough to them that they can hear you. You don't need to yell, you don't need to shout. Just get to the point close enough where they can hear you and you can speak. I understand that it's very difficult, especially if you have a medical condition, to project your voice, but confidence, showing up, talking to people, shaking hands, getting into, that space where you need to will be really, really helpful.
Mm.
Does that
And I
answer
think
your question?
And I think also like being strategic about if you know that like speaking to someone in a room with 100 people is gonna be hard because you can't be heard, maybe strategically attend events that are smaller, that are more micro in
Yes.
nature. Because there are groups that are like they're just like maybe 20 or 25, and you know that
Yes.
versus a massive room full of people, like maybe that's
Yes.
not gonna be ideal for you. So yeah, but I love what you say about also if given the chance, pick up the microphone.
I completely agree with that. Go to smaller venues. No sense being in a room of 1,000 people, right? Especially if you're on the front. So when I'm doing a facilitation and I'm in a room with a large room with people, I always ask them for a lapel mic. A lapel mic really helps me because I am not one to stay at the front of the room where I'm projecting all the time. I like to walk around. I like to meet people. I like to connect with people. And a lapel mic allows me to do that. And my voice is constant throughout the whole presentation while I'm walking around and talking to people. And while I'm doing that, I'm holding myself up. I'm showing that confidence, that body language, and I'm still able to connect with individuals. And I find people like that. When they're sitting in the back and you're way up front, there's still connection happening, right? Okay, let's move on to some tools to build executive presence. So these are practical tools. These will help you enhance your executive presence. We all have the presence, so we all need to think about how we can use them. Starting with your power pose. So I talked a little bit about that. It shifts your mindset and your physiology because by adjusting your posture, you can influence how it influence how it makes you feel and how others perceive you. So simple yet a powerful way to shift both your mindset and your physiology. So clients can sense how you show up. Kind of like yesterday when that gentleman called me, like right off the bat, I could sense how he was showing up in the conversation. So for me, being on Zoom, I always lean into the conversation instead of leaning back in my chair. That shift alone influences how I feel when I'm meeting with clients or presenting in a workshop. I always lean into the conversation. It's a power pose. And ladies, we need this power pose when we're the only in a room full of men. Men don't think about power pose because it's just taken for granted for them. For us, we need to work a little bit harder at it. And there's nothing bad about having that power pose and leaning into it. Um, that vocal warm up. So I always have that vocal warm up, and I think about my tone, my pace, my projection. It's essential for ensuring that your tone is clear, that your pace is measured, and your projection is strong. Now, that includes, I think it was a Victoria that had a voice that was not as strong. That's okay. You can find a way to project in other ways other than just being your voice, right? So just like athletes warm up their muscles, warming up your voice prepares you to communicate more effectively. And I don't do presentations on Fridays because my voice is like, yeah, I'm not into it today, right? So it's hard for me to warm up my voice on Fridays when I've been talking all week long and I've been dealing with clients. So I know it's important for me to build these workshops earlier in the week, and Thursdays is a good week, fine. So it's important for us to make sure that you know, it helps us communicate more effectively. I always have a little bit of water too to help me clear my throat when I'm having a conversation, whether I'm in the room or whether I'm presenting, I always have a little bit of water to help lubricate my voice. So it's important for you to warm up your voice. Um,
Can I just
another,
slide in? There's been some
yeah.
great comments in the chat. I'll get
Oh,
you the
good.
whole chat, Aileen, later.
Woohoo.
But Jillian had just mentioned about the fact that she loves the point about pace because she tends to speak too quickly just to get through what she wants to say. I see this a lot when it's like, you're going around at a networking event, like tell us about yourself, blah, 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 and like we just like speed through it because we want it to be over. Um, Andrea says she's a motor mouth as well. And this is just such an important point because
Yeah.
it's a way of shrinking, right? I feel
Yeah.
like let me just get through my introduction or what
Yeah.
I want to say because it's not as important as
Absolutely.
that next person. So it's a way of vocally shrinking when we
Hmm.
almost talk fast. So how can we slow down that pace? I know breath is important here, but like, do you have a thought? Like, how do you, if you struggle with that? I saw some comments. I thought it might be worthwhile pausing for a moment. Ha, pausing the pace.
Yeah. So that moves into the brave pause that I have. Embracing silence. It's incredibly powerful. So it's important for you to take a moment to gather your thoughts instead of like, "Blah, blah, 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 I'm Aileen, blah, 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 blah." It is a skill that you need to work on. Many of us tend to do more talking and do it quickly, but you need to be intentional in the conversations that you have. And I think when you slow things down a bit, people can hear the words, not a whole bunch of jarbling, you know. So it's important for you. It gives you a moment to gather your thought. It signals confidence to your audience, right? Be prepared to really listen to what other people are saying and pause for a moment before you respond back. So pace yourself. I could have done this presentation in 15 minutes. Where would that have gotten you? Right? Because I've only got a few slides. But I want to make sure that I'm taking a pause to help you reflect, not only on what I'm saying, but what it is for you that's going on in your mind. So, listening to the presentation, getting a few nuggets really helps. So I tend to slow down my pace when I'm facilitating to ensure that people understand. And that's why I love the questions in between that Carrie is asking, because that gives me an opportunity to pause. That's a
Mm.
strength.
Karen has a question. Aileen, can we pause for a moment? Go ahead, Karen.
Absolutely.
You're,
There we go.
there you
Sorry.
go.
It's
No
actually
worries.
not a question, but an observation that I wanted to share with the room. I do find that when I speak fast because of anxiety or I just want to get it over with, I find that it's signaling to my brain that this is an unsafe situation and it just
Mhm.
increases the anxiety. So I think that you think that you're trying to run through it so you can get it over with, but actually you're telling your brain, I'm not safe. We need to run, we need to go. And so it's heightening the anxiety and we don't realize it. We think it's helping, but it makes
Mm-mm.
it worse. And so I find that slowing it down helps to try to calm my nervous system down by telling me I'm safe. I can think through it. Yes, it's uncomfortable, but if I can slow it down, that I can get through it better, has been a bit of a help.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing, Karen. That is so true because sometimes we are in a space, especially remember I said when I walk into the room and I'm the only and I get that heightened anxiety, that can just set off a whole bunch of things and start running in a different way. So I need to slow down, collect myself, and then I think, okay, yeah, I am the only. Yeah, that's good. I don't have to compete with anybody else. And just get into that frame of mind to get yourself out of that place where you were and reduce that anxiety so that you can step into your own comfort and continue to move on. Thanks for sharing that. Stop telling yourself those negative stories. How about that?
I love it. I know while you go back to sharing your slides, Aileen, I wanted to share a little tip that someone shared that rocked my world, like as a speaker, as someone who walks into these events. And it was a guy, and he said, usually like when we're like rushing all the time, like we're rushing to get somewhere, and then we're rushing to he's like, I literally slow down my pace of walking. And when I slow down my pace of walking, it slows my breathing and that slows my talking. So it's
Yeah.
like we're all like you're saying, we're all interconnected in our body. And
Yes.
so I do that now. Like when I'm going to an event where I'm speaking, or I just like literally will slow my walking. And then
Hmm.
that slows my heart. Anyways, I want to throw that
Hmm.
in because that was really pivotal when he said that to me, and I've taken that to heart as
And I love that. And I think that's why I like to walk around the room. when I'm presenting. It helps to slow things down because I got to navigate around, tables and people. So it's intentional. You need to be intentional about how you can slow down so that you can be, heard, be articulate, be all of that. It's really, really important. So, you know, um, think about that as your brain is running through. And I would think, hey, run through it at the beginning, before you start. And then when you step into the room, that really helps you to take a breath and, get going. And like we talked earlier about, having a wingman. Who's your wingman in your situation, right? Carrie's wingman, my wingman this morning, wing woman, right? And helped me to collect myself before I got on here to present. So that's really important to have somebody do that for you if you can. Okay, so executive presence. The last one here is your 60-second story. Know and own your narrative. Knowing and owning your personal narrative helps you connect authentically with others. It's about conveying who you are and what you stand for in a concise, compelling way. So I shared my story a little bit earlier about, hey, I'm Aileen Edwards, I'm a leadership coach. It's important. I know who I am. I know what I want to talk about. I want to know I want people to connect with me, and I speak with from an authentic space. And listen, my story has um what can I say? My story is my story, but it changes all the time because I'm authentic. So I always start with hi, I'm Aileen Edwards, but I can shift the middle in between. But as long as I'm confident in knowing my own narrative, it's important for me to do that. So these are tools that are all part of the journey to help build your executive presence. If you practice them, you'll see the difference that they make. That power pose, that voice warm up, the brave pause, and your 60-second story. I'll give you all an opportunity to share your 60-second story coming up. So I certainly hope that you'll give us that, participate and do that.
Aileen, there's a question from Lynn. She asks, sometimes I feel anxiety when I present and connect with a group. What can I do to minimize the physical anxiety I feel when presenting? And also, I'd love if anybody else wants to chime in the Zoom chat as you've been doing, and you have tips for Lynn, but we'll also ask Aileen, of course.
Right. So again, it's about showing up that power pose when you enter the room and try to maintain that power pose throughout. So if you know that you are a person that has that physical, you show the physical aspects of being nervous, try to ground yourself and center yourself throughout it. Or while you're in a meeting, ground yourself by setting up some things. So for me, I will set up something in the room that nobody else knows is there. That will, if I connect with that, will help bring me back and ground me. So whatever tools that you can possess that you can use to help ground you, to settle you, that's really helpful. That's worked well for me. And again, if you have that wing woman in your room with you, that can be that person that will help ground you. Just look over and they'll give you the thumbs up and you're doing, whatever you need to do. So, if I know that I'm nervous, I won't have water in my hand because I won't be doing this. So don't show any obvious signs. Put the water down. I like to talk with my hands, but don't do too much of that. So just remind yourself, listen, it's about practice, practice, practice.
Mm.
And whatever works well for you will help you get through your sessions. And don't, like Harry said, don't book long sessions. If you think an hour and a half is good enough for you or 60 minutes is good enough for you, that's great. It's 60 minutes. That's it. Don't book 4-hour meetings. Don't book full day workshops, that where you're going to present it. Don't put yourself outside of your comfort zone that far that you're really going to tie yourself up.
Can I share a quick little story? Because I know you're going to move on to this juicy part of the 60-second story, but I went to an improv class or a couple improv classes last year where they talked about owning your space. And so they gave us a brilliant and you probably do this, Aileen, but this easy way to practice this, because I think that's your point to Lynn, is we have to practice this over time. One of the ways they suggest we practice is when we are walking on a sidewalk and there are people coming towards us. I have watched this ever since I had this lesson. Women tend to move out of the way if it's a man. Like we literally will give room. And so it's so interesting to like, do you give up your space when people are coming towards you? Like, because, etiquette tells us that we all move to the right side of the sidewalk so we can all pass each other, right? There's room for both of us on the sidewalk. But if there's like a group of people coming, do you move to the side or do you own your space and keep walking? Like, I will do it now. I will go to the point where we're almost nose to nose and they're like, oh, sorry. I'm like, yeah, this is my space. You just came in my,
Yes.
I practice that.
Yes.
And it just makes a huge difference. So watch if you are surrendering your space on a sidewalk. Like we're not talking simple, then you're not going to be able to command the space in the room. So just
Absolutely.
practice on a sidewalk. Anyways, that was a big light bulb moment for me when I took that improv class.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. And that's a power pose right there. That's a power pose. It doesn't need to be a power pose in just a room of, entrepreneurs or just a room where you're in front of doing a leadership presentation, just on the sidewalk. That's your power pose. And you're right, Gary. I used to do that all the time. I used to do it all the time, and now I don't do it anymore. And sometimes I bump into people and I'll, say out my apologies, but, you know,
They're in your
teenagers do it all
space.
the time.
They're in your
Yeah.
space.
Yeah. Teenagers, like there's a whole gang of them coming towards you, and I will purposely continue
Yeah,
walking towards them.
exactly.
And most often they'll move over. Excellent. Okay, let's talk about let me see if we can go the glow and grow model. Okay. The glow and the grow method is a feedback technique that's often used in learning and development context. So the glow part of it refers to the skills, abilities, or behaviors that you're excelling. So it's a powerful tool. It's really, really great. And I wanted to share it with you and give you that opportunity. The glow part of the feedback focuses on highlighting your strengths, those skills and behaviors where you truly shine. And it's about building that confidence and reinforcing what you're doing well. And the grow part of it is where we can identify areas for improvement. It's really essential to approach this feedback constructively and supportively. So today we're going to do that because we'll do a little bit of practice. So we're not only just going to point out what we think needs work, but we're going to encourage development and growth for each other. So as we practice, remember the feedback isn't about just what you are doing well, or sorry, what you're doing wrong. It's about the potential to change up something or two. All right. So let's get into practice time. So this is a group discussion. So I'm going to stop my screen, stop my share after a bit so we can all talk about it. And we're looking for a couple of volunteers um, to speak. Talk about your story. So what I want you to do is you take 60 seconds, share a 60-second pitch or a leadership story with the rest of us. And the rest of us, what we want to do is we want to listen. We want to make sure that we can give them some glow and grow feedback. So the volunteer will take a turn, they'll be the speaker, and the rest will listen. And the task of the volunteers to share that pitch, right? I want you to, it's a great opportunity to practice your executive presence here this morning. It's about owning your narrative. What is your story? What are you here? What are you here to do? And as listeners, your role is just as crucial. You'll want to provide that nice glow and grow feedback. So highlight what the speaker did well, okay? And then offer constructive insights into where you think they could make a little bit of tweak and so on. And then if there's other volunteers that would like to share, that would be great. And give people an opportunity to be both a speaker and to listen. So I'm going to stop sharing because I want everybody to participate. But remember, it's the exercise about learning and growing together. So let's support each other and let's make the most of this practice.
Aileen, Louisa was asking if there's a template for the 60-second story that you would suggest.
Hmm, I never thought about that. I could possibly create one. I think what's important is first start off with who you are. So, hi, I'm Aileen Edwards. I am an executive leadership coach, and I support women of color, women entrepreneurs to be, um, you know, to own their own space. So, talk a little bit about who you are, maybe bring some experience into that. So, I come with 30 years of experience of human resources that I bring to the table. And then talk about why are you here? So I'm here to share my lived experiences to help lift women entrepreneurs, get them into that executive space, you
Right. I
know.
put that template in the Zoom chat in case anybody wants to check it. I just put who you are, your experience, who you serve, and why you're here, if that's helpful.
Absolutely.
Who would like to start? Where's my extroverts? And you can, I know there's a bunch of you that aren't on camera. You can come on camera if you'd like for this part. If you'd like, all right, Marta, take it away.
Woohoo.
I am very nervous, but I'm the extrovert, so I decided I'll be the guinea pig for everybody. Hello everyone, I'm Marta Justina. I am an embodiment coach for high performers, and I help my clients through mindset work, limiting beliefs, and releasing old identities that no longer serve them to create a life of authenticity. I have been in the mental health and clinical psychology field of work for over 10 years, and through my own experiences as well as my professional experiences, I navigated out of the clinical practitioner space and into a more holistic, intuitive, and alternative form of coaching and counseling. Is that
Nice.
good?
I love that. I
Bravo.
love that. Thank you
That's the
so
hardest
much.
part for
Thank you.
me. I talk a
But you
lot,
did that
and
well.
I think you
You
were
did
60
that
seconds
well.
too. I was watching. I was like, you, that
wow,
was a minute or less. Yeah.
Yeah. I
that's a
mean,
win
you
for
did
me.
that well. That's fantastic. And you were clear. You were confident. You shared with people what it is that you do, and what you want to continue to do. Anybody else want to give her some glow? Let's give her some love.
I can take some grow too, anytime.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can put in the Zoom chat if you'd like also, and I can watch there. You're getting lots of applause, I'll tell you that. Lots of reaction
Yay.
buttons.
Yay.
Nancy said it was well articulated. And I agree. There actually wasn't very ums and ahs, which is actually another
No,
nervous trait, right, Aileen?
I agree.
Yeah.
I was listening
Yeah.
for those ums and ahs because those are the
Yeah.
things that I tend to listen for, but
Yeah.
very well
Yeah.
delivered, Marta.
Liz,
Thank you.
You'll like this one, Marta. Liz says it was very authentic, and I know that Marta loves authenticity.
That's my brand. So I love
Yes,
hearing the
that
word
is brand.
authentic.
Yeah. Alex says, great job, Marta. Even on our phone call the other day, you communicate your story wonderfully.
That is executive presence. Even on a call, you don't
Yeah.
have to be in person in front of people. During the call,
Mm.
that's your presence. Well
Victoria
done.
says, you were smooth living in integrity.
I know.
These are
That's
so
great.
cute. My heart is so happy,
Oh,
guys.
yeah. We'll
Thanks.
get you the chat. You can copy and paste this onto your wall.
Amazing.
Oh,
Amazing. How about some grow for her?
Yeah. Another glow. Tanya says your voice is very smooth and easy to listen to. I agree. You could have a podcast, Marta. It's true.
I
Yay.
do have a podcast.
Oh, there you
Yay.
go. All right. So some grow. I mean, was there anything there that you think she could improve on if that's Aileen's question?
Well, one of the things I want to say is why don't you include that you have a podcast? There's an
Mm,
opportunity for grow in
mm,
your 60-second story and invite
nice.
people to join you.
Okay,
Okay, cool.
good to know. I will extend that if anyone would like to join.
Victoria says, yes, promote that podcast. Oh, Sarah says, depending on your audience, sometimes even saying less about you, oh, sorry, more about you, less about your business. But your business
Mhm.
tells me who you are already because you glow when you talk about it.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. One of the things I
Yeah.
often say, well, I'm a mom of three adult grown children. I got a new grandbaby. And so talking, because people want to know who you
Mm,
are, not just about the business. So that's a great
mm.
comment. Great glow or grow. Okay, who else? Who else wants to get in this game?
Great job, Marta. High five.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Marta.
Who else wants to try? Just put your reaction button or wave your physical hand. Okay, Erica, over to you.
Okay, hi everybody. This isn't it yet. I haven't started. I have to not laugh when I'm doing this. This is my goal. So, and I wrote it out because I'm a shy extrovert. Um, Hi everybody. Oh wait, no, I lost it. Sorry.
Take
Okay.
your time.
Speak from your heart. Speak from your
Okay.
heart. Forget the
Speak.
paperwork. Forget
Okay.
what's going on. Just tell us who you are.
All right. Hi, I'm Erica Kukuro. I'm a lifelong writer, and for the past 12 years, I've been writing authentic web content, case studies, and impact stories for nonprofit organizations and businesses that do good.
Amazing. Now, did you look at your paper?
Yeah, I did.
And that's okay. That's okay. And you continue to look at your paper for a little bit, but after a while, it rolls off your tongue, right? It's really good.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was really good. And, I think when you tell your story, here's an opportunity for grow. And this is where we all need to think about how we do it is don't look like you're apologizing for shouting to the rooftop about who you are. You started off by saying, well, this is not really whatever, and I have to look at and I'm sure you didn't intend to do that. So center yourself. Remember I said that voice warm up and all that kind of stuff? Get
Yeah.
in the zone. Get in the zone before you get out there and be confident in how you show up. That's a great, great, great story. And tell us a little bit more.
Mm.
You got a whole 60 seconds. Use it, girl.
Yes, I will.
A friend of mine gave me a tip, which is channel the confidence of a mediocre white man into whatever you're talking about, and you'll shine.
There you go.
I love that.
Beautiful.
I love it. Go ahead, Marta, and then see some comments in the Zoom chat as well.
That is hilarious. Thank you so much for that, Carrie. I was thinking about the laughter part. I love laughing. So if that's something that comes to you naturally, I don't think that that makes you seem any less professional or capable. I just think it brings this light-hearted, like childlike almost essence, which I think is amazing. Especially if you're a writer, like there's so much storytelling, and storytelling is so embedded into childhood that I think that those two things are just so reflective of who you are and like the truth of you coming through in your work. I wouldn't even mention that to people, like, oh, like I laugh a lot. Fuck it. Like, good,
Yeah.
if we bring out what we're
Just show
insecure
it.
about, people that people don't even notice, they'll notice it afterwards, So yeah, I'd love
Yeah.
to hear you laugh.
Great comment. Great comment.
Yeah.
And I think about there's a difference between a nervous laugh and an authentic laugh.
Yeah, it's true. I love it. Heather says, Erica, your little laugh is you. It's great.
Yeah.
Kimberly says, I want to hear more about you, Erica. Great job putting yourself out there. Sarah says, for a glow, well-written, articulate, clear introduction. Grow. You deserve to take up space in person, not just on paper. People want to know you. Beautiful. Did I miss one? Yeah, no.
Excellent. We probably have time for one more. Who's going to take the brave step?
All right,
Thank you,
Victoria. Victoria, do you want to do your 60-second, or is this a glow and glow? Glow and grow.
Well, it's a grow and glow.
Okay, go ahead.
It is the pitch that I did on the weekend, and I would love input.
Yes. Is it 60 seconds?
It's less than 60 seconds.
Okay. You're on, girl.
Hello, my name's Victoria, and I'm a transformational life coach because I believe everyone deserves to live a life they absolutely love. For 30 years, I was a successful film and TV producer, and my life looked glamorous on the outside. But inside, I felt empty and passionless. I was constantly tired, grumpy, and longing for more. And my wake-up call came while I was volunteering at a wildlife sanctuary in Costa Rica, doing something I truly loved. My phone rang, bring, and I automatically answered it, breaking my work-free promise to myself. There, in this idyllic rainforest surrounded by rescued animals, I realized I was giving my life force and my self-worth to my job. That's when I knew I had to make a change. So I finally gave myself permission to discover my passion. And in doing so, I went from unhappy to living a life I truly love. And I absolutely believe that everyone deserves to live a life they love living. Thank you.
Woo! Love it.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Do you see the confidence she exuded there?
Mm,
And she just leaned into it authentically. That is amazing.
mm.
My only grow for you is tell us what, I know you told us what that means for you, but what does that mean for me? What are you offering me? Right? So I've learned this and I've done that. Here's what I've learned, and here's how I'm transforming it into how I can be this person for you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Love it. And if you want to hear more from Victoria, I'm going to put the link to upcoming weekend workshops because she's doing a workshop for us. I think it's in November.
Amazing.
This week.
Anybody else got any glow and grow? Because we got to move back on to the slides.
I like the body language. Like sometimes we think it's just the
Yeah.
words, but the body, she clutched her chest, just her movement, all of that. I felt, that idea. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very authentic, and you really believed what you were saying. And that's
Yeah.
a huge part. You need to believe what you're saying, because people will see right through you if it's just made up words, if it's something you got
Mm.
from AI. You need to be authentic. You need to really lean into it and believe what it is. So, when I share my stories on LinkedIn or on Instagram, I truly believe that. Like I live those stories. So I'm happy to share it with people, and ultimately it resonates.
Anyone else?
All
I'm
right.
not seeing anything in the chat, but I know that we're drawing sort of almost to a close. The other thing I just
Right.
want to really quickly say is, Victoria, I felt like, so sometimes we write out our bios, if you will, and then we just sort of memorize them
Yes.
and regurgitate them. But when we write for the eye, right,
Mm.
readers, it's different than writing for the ear. And so make sure you don't just like write something
Ah.
and memorize it because it's going to come out stilted and inauthentic. But what I heard Victoria saying was like just it was passionate speaking, like Aileen was just saying, speaking from the heart
Yeah.
in real words that we would use rather than like, and I'm a writer, I've got masters in journalism. Like I write stuff all the time and I had to get out of the habit of reading what I wrote because it was more stilted, right? When I was
Great
speaking
feedback.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Over to
Thank you, Sherry. Great feedback. Thank you. Thank you so much. So again, just take a final moment to reflect on that practice. Thank you for everyone who shared and, having that opportunity to share with the rest of us. But think about, for the rest of you, if you did have a story in your head, focus on your glow. What did you do well? What are you truly proud of? Because remember, acknowledging your strength is just as important as identifying areas for improvement. Live in your strengths, and it's important for you to do that. So then consider the grow part of it. Where do you see opportunities to stretch yourself and refine your presence? So thank you for those who were able to share with those that presented about where they can grow. So think about how these insights can enhance your skills moving forward. Reflect on the entire experience. What did you learn? Were there any surprises about yourself that stood out? So these are lessons that you'll carry forward in your leadership journey. So practice your glow and your grow. Practice your glow, your glow, your glow, your grow. And then think about your grow in a smaller scale. So now you're ready. We've explored and reflected on your experiences. So let's acknowledge where you stand. Your presence is your power. Just showing up makes a difference. Remember, it's the way you show up. Remind yourself, you're already enough. You possess everything you need within you to succeed. Don't let anybody tell you any different, right? How many times did we shrink or had somebody else make some kind of stupid comment? You are enough. Your story has superpower. So when you share your story, and hey, people want to know what your story is, they do, right? They might not say it, but the more you share it, the more people want to hear it, right? The unique experiences and perspective you bring are invaluable, not just to you, but to somebody else. People are watching you. When you're a woman entrepreneur, people are watching you. They're looking for little tidbits. They're looking for reasons to want to come into your camp, to work with you. So those experiences are really, really invaluable. So I encourage you to reflect on your own stories and how you can help leverage them moving forward. So take a moment, consider how you can harness the power and continue to grow as entrepreneurs and as leaders. Here's my closing reflection. These powerful words are from the book that I wrote. It was a 10-year journey of love, and it's in the publishing phases right now. I'm very, very excited about it. So I've named it Black Skin, Bold Heart. And the story and the words that I've used in my book is I wasn't just showing up, I was standing up for myself, for every woman who must lead in spaces never built for them or her. So now think about what you're standing up and what it means for you personally. This reflection isn't just about the actions we take, but it's about the courage that we have. And along with the courage, the resilience that we channel every day. Because as women entrepreneurs, we need to be resilient. I can't tell you how many times I've been knocked down and bounced right back up after I licked my wounds. But it's important for you to be resilient. It's about making the spaces more inclusive and welcoming for everyone. Stand up. Every woman needs to stand up. So as we close, consider how you can apply the spirit of standing up in your own business and in your leadership spaces, not just for yourself, but for other women out there just like us. Who are you going to be a wing woman to, right? Okay. So thank you for being here and bringing your unique presence to our shared journey. I enjoyed our time. I do have an opportunity as we come to the end of the session that I wanted to thank you for your participation. I wanted to thank you for being open, for sharing with the rest of everybody else. But this is your moment to ask any questions that you may have. Hey, remember, every question is valuable and it can spark further learning for other people. So whether it's something we discussed today or a related topic you're curious about, just feel free to ask. Let's have an engaging discussion. Your questions might just be the ones that others are thinking about too. So who'd like to start?
Just before you, do you want to put your contact information up? Because I know you're going to go back to the group images, just in case anybody has to drop off the call. Is that okay, Aileen? So
Perfect.
there, I had already put Aileen's website into the Zoom chat, but if you missed it, there's her email. And I know you can't click on those images, but follow her on LinkedIn, on Instagram. There's her email, and jot it down, or take a quick photo with your camera if you need to. You can always reach
Yeah.
out to me as well if you need it.
Yeah, and I just wanted to say, if you're ready to take the next steps, I'm here to support you to continue your growth in your leadership. So there's an opportunity to book a 30-minute call. It's a wonderful opportunity to delve deeper and discuss your unique needs. And other than that, stay connected. Just like Carrie said, I have inspirational quotes. You can join my community. I love sharing about all of the things that work well for me. So
Awesome.
thank you
All
for your
right.
time and your dedication. But let's have some questions.
Go ahead, Marta. Why don't you kick us off?
I would like to know how to establish professional presence as someone who's a little bit younger and doesn't have 30 plus years of experience, because I find that my age, or the fact that I look younger as well, and I look a lot younger than I am, can be off-putting to people and might not be very inviting to like ask about divorce or retirement, because I haven't been through those life stages, but I have so much knowledge and probably past life wisdom, I don't know, at this point, that has gotten me to be able to still be successful. So how can I establish that presence?
Well, one of the first things you could do is stop telling yourself about what you think people think about you, because they're really not thinking it at all, right? So talk about your experience. It may not be a lived experience, but you do have the experience. You went to college, you went to university, you went to whatever. Maybe you've lived in that space. You need to stop telling yourself those negative stories. You belong in that space, and tell them why.
Okay.
Woo,
That
truth
is
bomb.
perfect.
Nice truth
Yeah,
bomb there.
it
Like
was
it. Yeah.
great. It was, and I told myself I shouldn't ask this because I'm putting myself in a bubble, but I'll ask it anyways. And so
Good for you for
I needed
asking.
the one last slap.
Yes, I love it.
Good
Any
for
other
you for
questions for
asking.
Aileen as we're wrapping up today? So we have a question in the Zoom chat, Aileen. Nancy
Mm.
asks, how do you deal with conversations within the workplace where you are a minority, color, sex, or age, where the conversation isn't relevant to you? How do you deal with conversations in the workplace where you are a minority and the conversation isn't relevant to you? Does that give you enough information?
Yeah, I think so. Hey, I've been in the workplaces where I was the only woman, the only Black person on the leadership team. And at first, that used to bother me, and it used to tell myself those negative stories. But then I stopped trying to make excuses about being, a Black woman, and really focused on the positive parts about, my experience, my education, and something may not be relevant to you, but I think it's an opportunity to listen, and maybe something else will come out. Like, don't go into it thinking, it's not my favorite subject. Like, like budgeting is not my favorite subject, right? But I spent a lot of time with the finance people and learned a lot, right? So put yourself in those situations, and see what you can find out. You might learn something. But the thing for me is I stopped telling myself that just being Black was a negative. I wanted to sort of focus on being bold about being in the room. I
Mm,
had something unique to offer as the only. I had
yes.
a lived
Yes.
experience, a totally different lived experience. So when you are somebody in the room that you feel, you're the only, don't shrink. Use
Mm,
it.
mm,
Use it.
love
Yes,
that.
focus on being bold about being in the room.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes.
And I wrote down, and you didn't even say it in these words, but what I just wrote down, what you said, Aileen, was listening is a part of the dialogue. Like
Yes.
you being there, you don't have to say and add your own story. It's like, that is so interesting. Thank you. Like you
Powerful.
could say those types of things, and wow, talk about respect from the people. Wow, she's actually listening.
Powerful.
I love it.
Powerful skill, listening.
Yes. Um, okay, great question. Any other questions as we're wrapping up today? These are good ones. And of course, if it's a sort of a private one-on-one thing, you can always reach out to Aileen and book a call if that's something that's helpful to you if you don't want to share with the group, which sometimes that happens. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I
And,
love and
for,
go ahead.
um, yeah, I get how you're talking about being younger, or not looking your age. People tell me all the time I don't look my age. It's only when I mention I've been in the workforce for like 40 plus years, then people try to, like, you know, but I
Yeah.
never let that
Anne
bother me.
Marie, Anne Marie just dropped a comment that I was thinking something along the same lines. So she says, it helps to remind myself that I was invited to the room or the table, first of all, or I would even say that I belong. Like, I don't know how many times I will remind myself there are women in other countries who don't even have the legal
A
right to be
voice.
at this table.
Mm-mm.
How dare I keep silent when all of
Hmm.
those women don't even have the opportunity to be at a table? Are you kidding me? Like, this is a privilege
Absolutely.
and honor. Yes, it's a right as well, I believe, but not everyone has this honor and privilege. And damn it, I am going to take advantage of it, and I'm not going to waste it for all those other women.
Absolutely. Thank you, Carrie. We got to be there for each other.
Yeah, love
Women
it.
in
Okay.
business is exploring right now. So let's just be part of that. Let's get a piece of the pie.
Yes, absolutely. All right. And it's discussions like this, honestly, that I think that can get us jump started. Some of us are going to like turn up differently into that networking. I've got a networking event tonight. And so there's, I hope that this spurs some of you on and gives you a little bit of fuel for your fire. Thank you, Aileen, so much for sharing from your head and from your heart in such a beautiful way. You all have seen how you can follow up with Aileen. And if you lost that email already, just reach out to me if you want. Today's session is being recorded and it will be on our YouTube channel. And if you are not already a WeCan client and you don't know where to find that YouTube channel, just reach out to me. I can send you the link to that. But if you are a WeCan client, it's in your newsletter every week. Just go down to the bottom where it says the YouTube channel and you can watch it later on today. Send it to your friends and family who need to read it or to watch it. And thank you every single one of you who are a part of today's call. Thank you, Aileen. We really appreciate you today.
My absolute pleasure.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for having me.
Have a great day,
Have a
everyone. Go
wonderful
Blue
day.
Jays. Go
Thank
Blue
you
Jays.
so much. Thank you.
Have a good one,
Thank you,
everyone.
Aileen.
Enjoy your week.
My
See you later.
pleasure. My pleasure. Thanks for being here.